Is that the Federation Chamber do now adjourn. I call the member for Lyons.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. There are 49 licensed post offices, or LPOs, in my electorate of Lyons, the largest in the state of Tasmania. They are all country post offices, and they have all struggled, indeed, to survive for the past 2 decades, since licences were issued to private contractors to run these essential regional small businesses. They have struggled, Deputy Speaker, not because of the quality of the service that they provide, but rather the income available to them over which they have no control at all. The money from stamp sales is passed back to LPOs by Australia Post and influences a range of other payments that they receive from Australia Post. And since 1993, the cost of stamps simply has not kept pace with inflation. Australians are sending fewer letters, indeed, by mail. So LPOs operators in my neck of the woods have welcomed, indeed, the proposed reforms to the Australia Post announced this week in Parliament by the Minister for Communications, Malcolm Turnbull. Westbury Post Office proprietor Bob Hutchinson, with whom I met a couple of weeks ago to discuss these very issues, along with my colleague Senator Abetz, suggests that the proposed increase of the price of stamps from 70 cents to $1 would provide the means, expected to be roughly around $20,000 on average per year to an LPO, to make these country post offices indeed more viable. Total payments from Australia Post for stamps at the moment amount to around about $70,000 gross a year, from which the small business then has to deduct all its costs, like rent, power, plant and equipment. The increased income is indeed most welcome. Bicheno Post Office proprietor Subi Mead suggests she recorded a taxable income last year of $40,000. Beautiful part of the world, member for Macmillan. That last financial year, which is also completely unsustainable. Indeed, many family post offices, many operations absolutely need to see their partners go out into the workforce because the business is simply unsustainable otherwise to sustain both of them. The licensed post offices in my electorate of Lyons are valued and indeed are important. Evandale LPO proprietors Carol and Jim Brown argue these reforms won't come soon enough, and her customers indeed are not upset at all about the prospect of paying $1 for stamps. These sentiments will be shared by post offices providing a service in remote places across my electorate, from New Bena on the Tasman Peninsula. If you haven't been there, member for Macmillan, I suggest you. It's another beautiful part of my electorate. To Ouse in the Central Highlands, to Mathina in the northeast of the state. So I welcome the measured approach that Australia Post has taken to try and claw back a major decline in its core business of providing services around the country. 60% of LPOs nationally are located in regional Australia. So these reforms are essential to ensure that they remain open in country communities. It demonstrates, Deputy Speaker, quite clearly that this is evidence how our government is looking indeed to support small businesses. First of all, after the previous government, I think, had 6 ministers responsible for small business, we have, I suggest, the best small business minister that this nation has ever had in the form of Minister Bilson. The work that he has done around franchisees and allowing franchisees to have a more equal relationship with the franchisor indeed are welcomed. And more recently, the Grocery Industry Code of Conduct to support suppliers, particularly those supplying the big supermarkets in this country, is another signal that this government values small business. They are the lifeblood of regional Australia in particular, and we will continue to find ways to make sure that these important businesses and drivers of prosperity and employers of local people in local communities are supported. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. The question is